right, welcome back to the channel. This is LearnRHEL on the YouTube, and this topic is going to be about extended attributes. So to explain what extended attributes are, I kind of have to explain a few other things. File accesses can be controlled in 4 distinct ways and applied to files and directories alike. There's the POSIX, which you can determine by using ls-l. And this stuff right here are the POSIX controls of these files, along with the ownership and group ownership. So everything from here to the left, except for this this column here in the middle here, are actually all considered POSIX attributes. Now another type is the file ACLs. Those are an extended type, but they are not the extended attributes. So in order to get those, you have to use the command get FACL and then specify the one you want. So I have a reason, but I'm going to go ahead and use anaconda-ks.cfg, and there we see this. So by doing get FACL, you can see what POSIX attributes are set, and then also a little bit more. So user of the file happens to be root, and the group happens to be root. So the user of the file, the user root of the file ownership for anaconda-ks.cfg is root, and they have the ability to read and write this file according to the POSIX attributes. The group has no ability, and that's why the third set is set to that. And then the mask is read only. So we'll get into file ACLs at some other point, but I just wanted to demonstrate file ACLs is the second type. The third type is called SELinux context. In order to see those, you do actually, believe it or not, ls-l with a capital Z. And now you can see this range here in this space. This is the SELinux context for these files listed in here. You could do something like ls-r capital Z, see all of the files with all their SELinux context in the subdirectories and so on. Okay, you can do the same thing with ls-a capital Z, all the hidden files and hidden directories, and see their SELinux context. Of course, you could also do ls-a or like this, and just get the POSIX. There's so much. All right. So now we've explained the first 3. The last one are the basically the topic I'm trying to discuss is the extended attributes. Specifically with the extended attributes, XATTRs are basically the attributes that are set at the file system level down on the disk. So you're running ext2, which is really ancient. You shouldn't be running that anymore, hopefully. ext3, also very old. Shouldn't be running that. ext4fs. And it's not likely that you're running that, but it's quite possible still. And then finally, the more modern file system is called XFS as an extended file systems. But all of these are extending the file system's attributes. This is the 4th category of the types that you can use to control access to files, manipulation of files, maybe even to the point where you can't delete a file or update a file or change the access time on a file. It's so powerful what you can do with this stuff, and it's not very often used. But there are a couple situations where it might be. All right. So I'll show you how to list the extended attributes by just simply doing lsattr. Notice there's no white space. It's one string of 6 characters. And we'll go ahead and do the A in capital R. All right. And it's going to go off the screen, but I'm going to have to do this a second time to show more. So all of these hyphens, and then by the way, it's 20 hyphens there. I've counted it earlier, are the bits for the extended attributes that are set. And usually they'll be set to letters, uppercase and lowercase, in a range of characters that explain what the attribute's for. I'll show you how to determine those. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do though is do lsattr on the current directory. See the dummy file? I created this file on purpose for this video. I also use it in a previous video, by the way. But this I stands for immutable. All of these hyphens, I think, are actually meant to represent a character, but also some hyphens to separate maybe categories. I don't know that for sure. The problem is I can't find anything anywhere that explains why are there 20 hyphens for extended attributes on a given file. Right, that's not relevant other than to say, hey, I don't know everything, but I'm trying to do my best to explain to you what I can. So now to find out what you can do with lsattr, let's do a man on lsattr. And you'll see you can list all the extended attributes recursively, display the program version, which, you could do that any time like doing an RPM command. A, to list all the hidden directories and files. D, to specify only listing outputs of the directory names only, not the files that are in those directories, not their contents, if you can see right there. Print the options using long names instead of single character abbreviations. So let's try that. lsattr-l, and then hit enter. So instead of having I there, we now have immutable for the same file. Okay. And let's get back to the main page. The file's project number. I tried manipulating this earlier with using the chattr command, which is the flip side of this command, and couldn't get the version to change, or the project number. And I couldn't find anything on the internet to explain that either. My apologies. Okay, so we've figured out how to list the attributes. In this case, this dummy file has lowercase I, which we learned a couple seconds ago stands for immutable. And let's learn about all the other possible parameter types. So man, chattr. These are the characters, and they are explained further down in the man page for chattr. Let's get down here. Lowercase a, capital A, lowercase c, capital C. You can see that if you use the lowercase a, you can make the access time immutable. You can make the file so that it's a pen mode only for writing. I tested this, it didn't work for me. So I don't know why that is. The -c for compression, -d making a candidate for backup with the dump command, which is a really old command. The Solaris operating system used to use a command called UFS dump. I'm pretty sure that the dump and the UFS dump are very similar and related, because they used to have the ability to back up files based on the attributes that were set on the files. So that's an old throwback to the old days of my Unix days. Okay, and what else can we get? Lowercase e attribute indicates that the file is using extents for mapping blocks. That's very high end, very deep, and I'm not going to be explaining that in this video. Okay, we got the lowercase I, where it says the attribute cannot be modified. It cannot be deleted or renamed. No link can be created to it. I even found out that I couldn't cat any new data to the file, echo data into the file. That didn't work. But if I took a separate file from another from another directory, another file system, meaning temps versus the roots file system to declare the difference here, then I could actually take the other file and overwrite the file by copy overwriting. But the file that was in the operating system in the directory I'm dealing with, if I try to write to that file directly with the immutable setting, I couldn't do it. So be aware of that. That's a very interesting trick. You see, it cannot be deleted. Well, if I'm copying a file from one place and overwriting the existing file, I'm not technically deleting. I'm overwriting. I'm not renaming it because I'm using the same name. and then it can't be linked. Well, I'm not trying to link. I'm just trying to copy the content of the inodes of a file from a different file system, and then overwrite the contents of the inode set for the file on this operating system. Right, this file system. It's late. It's 2:06 in the morning. Only the superuser or process running the process with a capital Linux immutable capability can set or clear this attribute. This attribute, right? All right, so there's a whole bunch of other stuff, but there's not 20, just be aware. Okay? Now, the other thing is, in the man page, you saw at the very top that you can use the plus sign to target one of these or a few of these and say, hey, add these to the existing list of attributes that are set. Or use the hyphen or minus sign more accurately for this description to target these attributes that are already set, but remove them to have the hyphen whatever arguments I give it. And finally, the equal says, hey, I don't care what you have set. Make sure you ensure that only what I tell you after the equal sign in terms of attributes is being applied to the file. So wipe out everything else and apply only these. It's kind of a, if you choose these three and use the equal sign and you had A already set, it would have wiped out A and then chosen those three and applied those instead. Okay? All right. Now here's the interesting thing about the reason why I'm explaining this. Believe it or not, while root owns this file, because it is root's file, root cannot delete this file still. And we all know that root is the most powerful account in the operating system. Well, it is very powerful, but it cannot directly and deliberately and accidentally, more specifically, delete this file. If you want to get rid of this file, you have to take other actions like using your common sense and figuring, hey, are there any extended attributes set on this file? Well, let's take a look. It is. It's immutable. What did I tell you about immutable? It means that this file cannot be deleted, it cannot be renamed, and it cannot be updated. But you can take a file from a different file system and overwrite this file. Again, tricky way to replace the contents of a file, but you can do it. This attribute setting is typically used for system configuration files like etc resolve.conf or maybe the etc time zone file, stuff like that. Okay, but I don't want to mess with my copy on my virtual machine that I use to demonstrate to you these concepts of Linux. So I just created this file and I applied this attribute so that you could learn with me. All right. So let me demonstrate the fact that I cannot update this file. First, let me show you the content. I got simply the digit 1 in there. Not this. This is output that happens every time I update the command prompt. If I try and do an echo of 2 to overwrite the file, it doesn't work. If I try to append the file, will it work? Let's see. No, all because this little I is set. If I try to delete the file, no, it won't go away. All right, so now we're demonstrating that this little I attribute, the immutable attribute on this file through the extended attributes, the secondary extended file system attributes, is extremely powerful, so powerful that not even root can do anything about it unless they go the extra mile. How do we go the extra mile? Well, let's use chattr, and let's do -I against that file name, dummy, file before aid.txt. Well, no complaints, so that seemed to work, right? Let's do lsattr against dummy file. So I had a typo. There we are. And now the little I setting has disappeared. So now if I take and try to update the file by adding a 2, by appending it, I just did it successfully, I believe. So let's take a look. I had the 1 before I showed you, and now I've got the 2 in the next line. And if I want to remove the file, I could do it. No, it's gone. That was the intent. All right, so now I'm going to do a CP of a backup copy, just for the heck of it, from temp to here. All right, I'm going to do lsattr again. And my new file came from temp, also doesn't have the attribute set. Now, if we go over to temp, you see there's no attribute set. So let's do a quick test. Chattr of $ia, dummy file. This is another little thing I want to demonstrate. Okay, so I just did that explicitly by using the equal sign. If I do a chattr with just I, what happens? It got rid of the A, see? Whatever I set after the equal sign is going to be the only thing set for attributes on that file. Okay, let's go back to the other directory I was in. And I want to see if I copy a file from temp, the file from temp, and try to overwrite this file. Will it work? Well, I believe it will. And the reason why is one, take a look at this copy, by the way. It's fine. The copy command will work because it's going to allow us to overwrite. It's prompting us because it wants to know if the other files inodes need to be updated. And we're going to say yes. Now we're going to do lsattr on this directory. And we see the file still has no inode attributes set. No extended file system attributes have been set. Okay, so we demonstrated that we could set permissions, how to do them, how to change them, how to remove one of them, how to set them back to something else, how to list them ad nauseum with recursiveness, and so on. Okay, and I don't think we demonstrated that a file cannot be deleted. So just in case, because I'm really tired, I'll go ahead and do a chattr on the dummy. I forgot to specify. Okay. And I'm going to try to remove the file. And it didn't work. Again, because we set it. That. All right, folks, that's the end of this video. Hopefully I can make these videos faster and quicker and shorter, but unfortunately sometimes the content just takes a little bit more time. Thank you. And have a good evening.